me. For the last 3 years, the Friends Sharon team has walked to defeat ALS, but this year is a little different. On March 23rd, 2017, I lost my best friend. My mother, Sharon Chauvin, lost her courageous battle to this horrible disease. Today is the first time we walk in memory rather than in honor of my mom, so I'd like to share some memories of her with all of you. My mother was always a very active person. She rarely ever sat down to relax. She loved to kayak, hike, and snowmobile. We were always on the go, doing something or traveling somewhere. She loved to cook and bake. She hosted all of our family holidays, and since I have somewhat taken over, I don't know how she did it for so many years. The amount of preparation and work she put in to make sure every woman is happy is admirable. She always took care of anyone and everyone and was happiest when she could help. She was very independent and hated relying on people. In 2010, my mom was diagnosed with ALS, but the symptoms began well before then. The day before Thanksgiving in 2008, my mom tripped and broke both her wrists. Being the independent person that she was, she drove herself to the hospital. The following week's first time in our family, the roles were reversed. We had to take care of her. In 2009, my mom experienced drop foot. This was the first real symptom of ALS. For the rest of 2009 and through a good portion of 2010, my mom went to doctor after doctor, specialist after specialist, until she got the diagnosis in Boston. We were heartbroken. ALS did not slow her down, though. She traveled most weekends with my dad, her husband of 41 years, Gene, to our family's vacation home in New Hampshire. She traveled to Alaska with her sister, took a cruise, and visited the national parks. It was on that trip she learned just how many miles she could ride in one day on her scooter, and she joked with us about it. She always had a great sense of humor. We went to Grand Teton National Park, Yellowstone, and Canyonlands National Park. While traveling and accommodations were always tough, we found a way to make it work. She did not want to stop living her life. She continued to host family holidays, cook, bake, kayak, and even snowmobile. She stayed as active as she could for as long as she could. She worked full-time up until last year when she couldn't go into work daily. She continued to work from home part-time. My mother was the most selfless person you would ever meet. She would give family and friends anything they needed. People knew that they could turn to her with any questions and problems, and she would do her best to help them. She also showed her selflessness through countless clinical studies she participated in throughout her disease's progression. She hated doctor's appointments, and she absolutely hated needles. But she put all that aside in the hopes that one day a cure would be found. Maybe not for herself, but other people. She also hoped that through her participation in the studies, she would help quicken the diagnosis process. Through all the nausea, heartburn, fatigue, and whatever other side effects she dealt with, her strength and the thought of other families dealing with the same struggles made her persist. My mother was a fighter. The hardest thing for my mom was to sit back and let people take care of her. She was the matriarch, she was the caregiver, she was the friend to everyone that crossed her path. She was also the boss. We looked up to her and turned to her with anything life threw at us. Her strength, intelligence, compassion, and dependability will always be remembered. Our family says we are very fortunate that she beat the odds. She lived for 7 years after her diagnosis, when life expectancy is generally 3 to 5 years. We call ourselves fortunate, but the fact of the matter is, nobody that comes across this disease is fortunate. While we valued our time and made the most of it, it is still unfair that this disease had to take her from us. We need to fight for a cure. It's beautiful to see a community that knows such pain and suffering come together for such a great organization. The support the ALS Association of Massachusetts provides for families in need is incredible. While they help fund research and provide support groups, the ALS Association does much more. When my family needed a ramp for my mother to get into our home, they came and installed it free of charge. They helped with equipment as much as they could. We also learned at the first walk we attended that they help with travel accommodations to a variety of cities across the United States. While my family was able to make our own accommodations, please know that there are ALS associations all over the country that are willing to work with families to provide necessary equipment to make traveling easier. In closing, on behalf of my family, I would like to extend a sincere thank you to everyone at the ALS Association for all they did for our family and all they do for other families as well. I would like to thank my family and friends that have supported us through recent years and continue to support us. Thank you for always being there. I would also like to thank everyone in attendance for listening to my family's story and for being here today, not only to raise money for the ALS Association, but to connect and support each other within this community. Thank you.